r/ask Reddit. What's the craziest blackout drunk experience you've ever been told you've done? Arrived home, took off my jeans in my kitchen, but put my shoes back on. Then proceeded to head to bed. As I passed my dad's room, he was on his way to the bathroom and asked where my jeans were. I looked down and began to have a miniature panic attack because I thought I had left them in the taxi on my way home, along with my belongings. This has happened a number of times. In Norway we have this tradition called Russ, where the graduate students dress up in red, blue, black, or white pants, drinking for 17 days, from the 1st of May to the 17th of May. And we have exams as well. I woke up drunk with a bottle of vodka under my teacher's desk on my exam day. I do not really remember it that well, but the teacher let me take the exam. Some friends told me that we were in some girl's Russ van, drinking the whole night, and that they dropped me outside the school 1 hour before the exam. I once passed out in the middle of the road in the fetal position, and was nearly run over by a woman delivering newspapers. The woman stopped and tried waking me up, but I was unresponsive. When the cops arrived they were able to wake me up, and when I was asked how much I had to drink, I simply responded, "You're looking at it." The police then charged me with disorderly conduct and took me home. I had no recollection of what fully happened until it was in the newspaper. At my friend's 18th about 10 years ago, I had stupidly mixed heavy alcohol with the medication I was taking at the time. I think it was fluvoxamine. For gad. I remember joking around with my friends one moment, then the next I was cowering in the corner, tears streaming down my face with several worried friends around me. I snapped out of it with something like, "Oh, hey guys." Apparently I had been sitting in the corner screaming out the name and phone number of the guy I had a crush on at the time. Good thing he wasn't at that party. Woo. I was about to get my tonsils out a few years ago. I'm 29 now, and my brother, who is on his way to prison as we speak, insisted on getting me shit-faced at least once before the surgery. So he proceeds to take me to all his spots, introduce me to his friends, all the while slamming Red Bull vodkas. At some point I black out, but vaguely remember a ratty strip club for a few seconds, and then waking up the next day. He told me that I got us kicked out of the shittiest strip club in the city by standing up and saying, "How much does it cost to fuck someone in here? Because I know that's how this works." Not much. Once I woke up after having a drinking contest with a 40-something punk rocker named Jake. I was 17 at the time, and not much of a drinker anyway, so I was obliterated. No memory of the night before, except puking with Jake in the bushes in front of my friend's apartment, where I was staying for a week during a road trip. Check my social media. This was like 2000, so I checked my liver journal. There was a message from me to me. "Hey, I know you won't remember in the morning, but you had some pretty mediocre sex with a girl named April last night. You weren't any good in bed. Insert friend name. Walked in on you, but she's probably not mad you were fucking in her bed. Don't drink anymore." We were having a pool party. I live in Brazil. A friend that lived in Europe brought her 80% alcohol absinthe. I had 3 shots of those, plus beers and shit. Last thing I remember was 10 AM. Fast forward to 8 PM. I'm alone, inside the pool, partying. Just waving my arms in the air, no music playing, no one around. I stop, think about what I was doing, and realize everybody went to bed about an hour ago. Later, I'm told that, at noon, we ran out of ice, so someone offered to go buy some at the supermarket. I offered to go with him. Keep in mind I was only wearing my underwear, because I was in the pool. When we get there, he tells me to stay in the car, because I'm on my underwear. So, he enters the supermarket, and, after 5 minutes, he sees me, holding a bag of ice, in the cashier line, waiting for my turn, in my underwear. Everybody was looking at me, and I'm like, what a lovely day, not realizing what was happening. We buy the ice and leave. A few friends and I traveled to Cleveland to see a show in a dive bar. After the show the crowd just left the bar, leaving pretty much just us and the band. So we ended up having a true rocks tonight boozing with one of our favorite bands. At some I hit blackout mode and suddenly woke up the next morning. According to my friends, I entered our hotel room and beelined for the bathroom. As soon as I hit the threshold I projectile vomited, hitting the ceiling, walls, shower, toilet, sink, you name it, I puked on it. They sat outside listening to me dry heaving for a bit. They said I eventually burst out of the vomit coated bathroom, told them I wasn't finished, and left the hotel room. 5 minutes later I reappeared with bleach and paper towels and locked myself in the bathroom. When I came back out a while later I had completely detailed every square inch of the bathroom, like it was a crime scene cleanup, insisting that nobody but me should have to deal with other people's mess. I then passed out cold for 7 hours. I apologize in advance for length, but I think it's all necessary. A month into my first year at college, I walked around the big party spots with some friends looking to get into one. We did not. I spent the entire time taking swigs of Admiral Nelson and chasing it with coke. I'm a huge lightweight, so I got unreal fucked up and quick. Next thing I knew, my buddy said I was bleeding from my head. I have no recollection of falling and no one else witnessed me get wounded somehow. Finally, my friend decides I should go back to our dorm, so we make the trek back, and we are about as close as possible and a police officer pulls over to talk to me on account of my bleeding and stumbling. Apparently I said I was born in 06 instead of 96, and when the cop jokingly asked if I was 8, I said yes. They handcuffed me and took me to the drunk tank in the campus police station, and I woke up in the cell with an assless scrub that they give to patients in hospitals on, and no pants, because I threw up on them, and they had me remove them. When they finally let me go the next morning, the cop asked me if Mickey Mouse is a cat or a dog. I said he's a mouse, and then he said, "Oh good, last night you said he was a cat." During my first party at college, I'm pretty much a lightweight. We started mixing strong drinks, and about 4 or 5 in I blacked out. Found out the next morning that I had ordered a broccoli pizza, ate most of it, then proceeded to vomit it all up. Last thing I remember is lying on the ground next to my almost equally as drunk best friend, only seconds before I vomited. Another guy who I had met earlier that night who I got along with well ended up using the pizza box to scrape my puke off of carpet bulldozer style. What a great way to start my college experience. I'd tell a blackout story of my own, but it couldn't possibly compare to that of my incredibly lightweight friend. He got white boy wasted on a group trip to Vegas about 3 years ago, woke up in the backseat of a stranger's car on a street several blocks away from his hotel. The stranger was not in the car. My friend had just gotten sleepy while on a drunken midnight stroll and started trying car doors until he found one unlocked and hopped in for a nap. He decided it was too chilly to walk home in his shirt from the night before, so he put on the hoodie left lying in the car by its owner and walked back to the hotel. When he arrived, he checked the pockets and found a Ted Baker watch in the pocket, freaked his shit, and dropped both the watch and the hoodie down the laundry chute and hyperventilated about getting deported for about half an hour. For some reason he's embarrassed when we bring it up, but I think I'd consider it a point of pride if it were me. In college, I lived in a dorm as a freshman, but moved off campus into an apartment the next year. One night, after getting completely obliterated and blacking out, I walked back to my old dorm room, I assume, thinking that was where I still lived, climbed up onto the top bunk of a bunk, and went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, trying to figure out what happened, and why I wasn't in my own bed. Looked around and saw a guy sitting at his computer. "Where am I?" I asked. He just turned and looked at me with a big smile on his face and said, "College, man. College." My friends and I all got kicked out of a bar when we went to Canada. I was the only girl in our group. We apparently went to Hooters after that. I guess I thought it was a strip club and I somehow knew you are allowed to touch the strippers in Canada. When our waitress came over I guess I just grabbed her tits. I didn't believe that this happened until I checked my purse in the morning and found my receipt had a phone number and a winky face.